paper. And then, our medical students are coming through during a period of time when COVID had just hit. And, as you remember, for a while, none of the schools were letting students go into patient rooms. And then there was a period of time where the students could elect to go in or not go in. And, ultimately the students were expected to go back in, probably 9 to 12 months after COVID began. So we needed to make sure that they were trained to be able to go in and out of these rooms to the level of standard that we had set for our faculty and residents. So we did the same project with our emergency medicine clerkship students as they came through on a required clerkship. And what was really interesting was to get to their clerkship years, they had to have passed hospital infection control prevention that included the same level of education as anyone in the hospital would get, nursing and otherwise. And it's watch a video and take an online test and things that are really not very engaging and interactive. And as you can imagine, when our students came to our clerkship and we tested them against our rubric for this donning and doffing mastery learning, they failed. So this was a really eye-opening paper. It's not like they missed a couple items. That's concerning to me in a time when we have an aerosolized virus that is highly contagious. Our students are unprotected unless we teach them how to do this. So we've made it a point at the very beginning of every clerkship when we take new students, we put them through this mastery learning experience now as a standard simulation experience in our clerkship because we want to make sure they know how to don and doff properly.
So if you were to put that mastery learning simulation into an EPA, what would you map it to? Maybe a little 12, a little 13. 12 is procedures, 13 is system failures and culture of safety improvement.
Sure. Those sound good.
This is the entire point, is there's a little bit of leeway here on how you map them to the EPAs. And that's some of the confusing things. So for instance, at Northwestern, we have mastery learning curricula now for EPA 4, which is orders and prescriptions, EPA 9 for collaboration and professional team, and EPA 11 for informed consent. But our simulations in general touch almost every EPA. So, that's where it gets confusing. And that's where I really like the OPA idea.
Yeah, I do too. And, I think I said earlier with our capstones in ours and yours both, they capture a lot of things that aren't necessarily the 13 EPAs. I think you could force this donning, doffing PPE one into EPAs 12 and 13, but maybe it's a standalone infection control and prevention. It could be a standalone EPA if someone had just thought about it. So, there's content that goes beyond the EPAs that we should be testing our students on. And this particular project, I'm really proud of because there was a clear demonstrated need at a period of time when we really were unsure of how to protect ourselves. And we continue to have a pandemic that, is going to challenge our students from years to come. And does that map to an EPA? Does that map to an OPA? I don't know, maybe, but I think it's very practical. It may be more practical than many of the other simulations they go through. It actually protects them. So I think it has its value as well. So anyway, I was excited about that project, and using mastery learning was the perfect methodology, right? You cannot make a mistake when you walk into an aerosolized room without an anti-room and you want to use a specific double. You cannot make a mistake, right? It exposes you. So you have to have a high passing standard.
Well, Mike, whenever I have a podcast and I get to interview someone, I learn a ton, and it was really interesting comparing and contrasting what I know about the EPAs and what you do at Stanford. And it was really nice chatting with you again and catching up a little bit.
It was my pleasure to be on the podcast. I'm really touched that you invited me, and it was a great conversation. I could have a beer with you and talk about this stuff all night long.
Thank you for listening today. In our next series of podcasts, we will continue to discuss key aspects of simulation healthcare education with experts in the field. Bye for now.